Greetings and welcome to another edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. So, a couple of things to report on since I was last here earlier in the week. Some Marvel news to start off with. We've got news that Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be in Spider-Man 3 as Doctor Strange. So, that will be good. This, of course, separate from the Doctor Strange appearance that we're going to get in Doctor Strange 2, which I talked about in a previous video. And that's, something that these Marvel movies do, which makes them so great, is they cameo the various heroes in each other's movies. We've also got news that Robert Downey Jr., as we all know as Iron Man, Tony Stark, will be, well, I shouldn't say will be. This is a rumor that comes from Mikey Sutton, who I guess is known for getting scoops on these things. He's saying that they are going to bring back Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, as Iron Man, in an alternate version of, the one we're used to, in Secret Wars, which again is another Marvel, property. There's more news now coming out about the Green Lantern series that's going to go on to HBO Max, which again, as I discussed previously, is kind of where these new DC shows are ending up now that they've, decided not to keep putting content on, the basically defunct DC universe. And it's going to focus on Guy Gardner, Sinestro, Alan Scott, and others. Alan Scott, of course, being the original Green Lantern, who was a founding member of the Justice Society of America. Kilowog will be in it. Also, Jessica Cruz, who was the Swarm Protector of Section 2814, alongside her partner Simon Baz, who's also going to be in the show. No word on casting that I could find so far, and there's no release date. But the thing I noticed about this announcement is that they didn't mention either Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart, who are, two of the more classic, or I'm going to say more known Green Lanterns. Guy Gardner's up there as well, but Jon Stewart was the Green Lantern in the Justice League cartoon and Justice League Unlimited, and it was a great character, but no mention of that here. So that's weird. And Hal Jordan, who is, of course, the pretty much iconic Green Lantern. And that's kind of strange to me. I wonder if they're thinking that that ground has been covered, by the Green Lantern film with Ryan Reynolds, but somehow I'm thinking no at the same time, because, tons of characters have been done before that are going to be done again, and have been done multiple times. So I can't believe that it's that. But why would they not mention Hal Jordan? I don't know. I think it would be. I think they would be remiss not to include Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. But this will be interesting. I enjoyed very much the animated Green Lantern series that was on for one season, sort of right around the time that the Green Lantern film came out, which of course had nothing to do with the film, but it was very good. I was sad that it didn't get a second season. And that, of course, did feature Hal Jordan, but it also brought up a lot of other, characters, other Green Lanterns, and the Red Lanterns were huge in it. So I'm looking forward to this series on HBO Max. We'll have to see, when they're going to release that in the coming days. Doctor Who is going to be doing a holiday special. The last time we got a holiday special from Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, it was a New Year's special. But we're going to get a Christmas special this year, which is great. And it's going to be called Revolution of the Daleks. Some set photos have been released. And it looks like everybody who was in her first two seasons of the Doctor is going to be in it. although not all of them are going to continue into the next series, as we know. I don't, of course, really like the Jodie Whittaker Doctor as much as I've liked previous Doctors, namely David Tennant and Matt Smith. Peter Capaldi comes in as a third to those guys. I think she does an okay job. I think she does the best she can with with what they give her. And I take issue with some of the stuff that they gave her to do. Some of the stories I didn't think were great, but I like her, so I don't know. There's always hope that it'll improve. That the writing will improve. So we'll have to see. But it looks like our next opportunity to do that is going to be with the holiday special at Christmas. So with those little news tidbits out of the way, I do want to talk a little more in depth about something else that's made the news in the past couple of days, and that is how Gal Gadot has been cast to play Cleopatra in an upcoming film of the same name, which is going to be directed by Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins. Some folks are unhappy, which is not surprising. You can never please everyone, right? So there's always going to be someone who's unhappy. But they're unhappy because Gal Gadot, of course, is Israeli and therefore not Egyptian or Greek. Cleopatra was of Greek heritage, if you didn't know. So some people are annoyed. They think she's too white, basically, to play the part. And they'd like to see someone of Greek ethnicity or Egyptian ethnicity, I guess, in the part versus her. And I can understand why people are upset. They are not happy about what they call the whitewashing of history. And I don't think that's particularly great either. I think if you're doing a movie about an Egyptian historical figure, then the person that you cast should have some connection to that. Especially if there's a difference in, features or skin tone, generally speaking, between, people who are from that culture and people who aren't, as is the case with, Gal Gadot and perhaps some actresses of Greek descent or Egyptian descent. But, I think what people are overlooking, and here's the thing, they're not just slightly perturbed, they're like super angry about this. And I don't get that, because I think what they're overlooking, is how Hollywood works and how it has to work. People who make movies are in the business to make money, right? So you would like, Hollywood to maybe put people before profits, as they say, and to do the right thing, as opposed to look out for their bottom lines. But that's not realistic. It isn't a case where if they cast, for example, an unknown in the part, they're just going to make a little less money. The movie will bomb. Nobody will go see it with an unknown. And there are no known actresses of Greek descent or Egyptian descent that could open this picture. And by that, I mean, open it to a large box office take. That won't happen with an unknown actress. And there are no, name actresses who are as big in terms of star power as Gal Gadot. And you might be thinking, Barry, that's because Egyptian actresses and Greek actresses don't get these parts. And it's a big circle, because if they were getting these parts, then they would be known and they would be household names and they would be able to open a picture. So what are we supposed to do? Just never cast them because Hollywood doesn't want to take the hit? I wouldn't say that, but here's what I would say. Gal Gadot being cast in this part could make or break it, right? If there's enough backlash, it could break it. So I don't know, maybe it's a bad decision in that way, but assuming no backlash, right? Assuming just a normal sort of movie situation, Gal Gadot, in an age when theaters are actually functioning, which by the time this movie comes out, hopefully they will draw a huge mass audience, and the movie will do well. You know, theoretically, that's the plan. They're putting an award-winning director and a big box office star from the Wonder Woman movies and the Justice League films in this movie to draw an audience. So, assuming that happens, what's also going to happen is that the people they cast alongside her to play her love interest, to play, her adversaries, whoever they're going to be, right? Because no movie is going to be about people who all get along all the time, right? It's going to be someone who plays her adversary. There are going to be people who play, for example, Egyptian priests and priestesses, because they always figure into these stories. So what you have to hope is that those people are played by these actors of Egyptian descent or Egyptian actors, and that these films become, this film and these films in general, when they're made in this way, with a box office name that isn't necessarily ethnically right for the part, gain them attention, right? You have to understand that these are vehicles or potential vehicles for these actors to get in front of a lot of eyeballs where otherwise they might not, for whatever reason. And you have to hope that they do so well in these supporting roles that they get nominated for Golden Globes, Oscars, etc., and that they win them. And even if they don't, they could do such a great job in these supporting parts that they really get noticed and that they get cast in more and more films, and that they eventually become big box office stars and can, next time around, open a picture playing parts that call for someone of their ethnicity. You can't just poo-poo these movies, folks, because the lead isn't ethnically right for the part. You have to realize that Hollywood needs to make money on things that they make, and they're not going to make things that aren't going to make money. And where you might think, okay, well, then don't make this movie. You don't want to think that way, because you want the supporting roles to go to the unknowns who are ethnically right for their parts, who can then become known through a vehicle like this that's going to get in front of a lot of eyeballs. Why? Because it's going to be made by a major Hollywood studio. It's going to be marketed like crazy. It's going to get into a lot of theaters. So you shouldn't be saying, well, just don't make the movie. You should be saying, yes, fine, make the movie with someone who isn't ethnically right to play the lead part. You want them to get made. I think back to when Eddie Redmayne was cast in The Danish Girl. People were upset because he's not a trans female. He's a cisgendered, male actor. And you have to remember that, again, Hollywood wants to make money. They're not going to make a movie that doesn't make money. So casting someone like Eddie Redmayne, who's a very good actor, who has a good pedigree, who was going to get eyeballs in front of the film, was the only way they were going to go. And what you have to hope from that is that these stories get told versus not getting told. This is a story that you want told, right? About one of the first people to sort of make history by undergoing transgender surgery. You have to hope that the fact that these stories are getting told will change the conversation around issues like that. And that in the future, more movies about similar people will be made, and that by the time those movies are getting made, people like, for example, Laverne Cox, who is a known trans female actress, will get the roles. If these stories are never made, then that's never going to happen. Even if you were to go back to the late 80s and early 90s, and you think, well, you know, if they had made this Cleopatra film then, they would have cast Marina Sirtis, who is Greek, or Melina Kanakaridis, who is Greek, who they can't cast now because they're too old for the part. But I don't think even they could have opened the film the way Gal Gadot is going to open this film, even though they were name actresses at the time. So I just don't understand the outrage um, regarding her not being the right ethnicity. No, she's not. Yes, it's terrible that Hollywood keeps doing this, but what you have to hope is that the supporting characters are played by people who are ethnically right for those parts, that they make names for themselves by being in these films where the lead is not ethnically right for the part, and that they then get cast in the future in the starring roles in these films that are about characters of, you know, their ethnicity. I kind of have a prediction. I think Gal Gadot's going to drop out of this movie. I should say I wouldn't be surprised if she drops out of this movie because she's a nice person. She's a good person, I think. And I don't think she will want to be involved in a project that makes people feel so badly. So I think she will drop out. I don't think the nasty things they're saying about her, and they are saying nasty things about her that I'm not going to repeat, is going to scare her off of it. But I think she's going to realize that, you know, people don't feel this is right. And she might come to agree with that and drop out. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I hope it doesn't because I think she's great. And I think she'll make the movie, you know, make the movie a huge success, especially in combination with Patty Jenkins. But time will tell whether or not that will happen. In the interim, I just think people need to chill out and just watch for those supporting roles to be, you know, filled with people that are right for the part ethnicity wise. I think that's what you have to count on. And, you know, hope that what comes from it is that they become big box office draw type stars in the future, which they won't probably without movies like this. Can you name any Egyptian actors or actresses or any Greek actors or actresses, you know, besides maybe one or two? Rami Malek is one. The guy that played Zorba the Greek there, don't remember his name. I'll try to put it up over here somewhere. You know, he was a big one, but there just aren't people who can carry these parts. There should be, because they should have been getting big parts all along, but they haven't because Hollywood is money conscious. But what we have to hope is that that changes going forward when they play these smaller parts and get noticed. I'm repeating myself at this point, so I'm going to go, but I just wanted to give you those little breaking news tidbits, and I wanted to talk about this because I think it's an important conversation to have, and there you go. So next time I will be back, and until then, peace and long life.